DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. I'm going to discuss this subject of anti-black that I see people sometimes throwing out. This is a relatively new thing over, let's say, the last 2 or 3 years that I've heard people sometimes resort to. So what got me thinking about this was after I did my videos on Kanye and talking about whatever Kanye was talking about, I wrote an article about it. Those of you who like to read, it's on my Facebook page, also on my Substack, and I sent it out via email. And I said in the email, people could text me to respond. So people seem to want to respond in text messages more than email. So anyway, somebody texted me back a reply to the article, and they were talking about Kanye, and they said some stuff that wasn't really, there was really no substance to it, but eventually they got around to the point of saying, this is a woman, she's like, I'll tell you about the woman in a minute, but she said, I think, not me, but her, she said, I think Kanye is just anti-black because he must have forgot that his mom is black, he must have forgot that he's black, and it was something that she said, and I said, well, why do you think Kanye is anti-black? And she said, well, he said slavery was a choice. She quoted that. And then she said that he also, one of his fashion shows, he wouldn't hire a black woman for the show, which makes no sense because Kanye's had like 30 fashion shows, and I've seen every color, shape, size, gender in those fashion shows. So what the hell this woman is talking about? He refused to hire a black person. It's basically, you just come up with some hand-picked example that supports whatever point you want to make, emotional point you want to make. And I go back to this one, and I replied to the woman. I said, the anti-black thing, like, you got to come up with a better, if you want to criticize somebody, criticize the point, don't criticize the person. And this is something that I tell people all the time, and I'll tell all of you. If you disagree with a person, and you think what they said is like the dumbest, most ridiculous, stupidest thing that's ever been said, then say that. You can say that. But you have to be clear that you're criticizing the thing that they said or the thing that they did. Because I can have somebody who I like personally. I can love a person personally and have a good relationship with them personally. But if I disagree with their actions, or I disagree with their words, or they produce something and I think the thing that they produce is garbage, I can say that. Because I'm not critiquing the person, I'm critiquing the action or the result that the person produced. And there's a huge difference between those two things. That's what a logical, reasonable thinking person can do. But this whole thing about anti-black, I was on Clubhouse, this is probably like 3 years ago. I was in this random Clubhouse room. It was only like 12 people in there. And I came in the room, the guy brought me on the stage. He was like, well, Dre, we're talking about if you think racism is more now than it was back in the days. And I said, of course it's not more than it was back in the days. Like, that's crazy. Back in the days, people didn't even have civil rights. We got civil rights now. We got plenty of opportunity now. Anybody in the world of any color can pretty much be anything we want to be. We all know this is true. That doesn't mean everything is perfect, but is there more racism now than there was in the past? Hell no. So anyway, I said that, and then somebody brought up some really dumb example. This woman said something stupid, like she was in a grocery store and the clerk assumed that she was paying with like EBT, with food stamps, but she wasn't paying with food stamps, so she considered that to be racist. And I'm like, really? Like, you're using that hand-picked example of how is that racism? And first of all, it doesn't even fit the definition of racism, which is believing that one race is better than the other just because of their inherent qualities of their color. If someone thinks that you're paying with EBT, and you happen to be black and they happen to be white, even if they did assume that, even if they said out their mouth, oh, I thought you were paying with EBT, that doesn't make them racist. Maybe it means, well, most of the people who come in here pay with EBT. Doesn't that mean they're just following a pattern? That is not racism. All right, that's following a pattern. Human beings are creatures of habit. So that is not racism. Racism is, I think I'm better than you because you're this color and I'm that color. Now, if I'm assuming that you're doing something because I'm used to seeing people do it, that doesn't make you racist. That doesn't make me racist to assume that. If I go to the hood and I see a bunch of N-words standing on the corner with hoodies on and I cross the street, does that make me racist? Am I anti-black because I don't want to hang around some black dudes who look suspect on the corner? Am I anti-black for doing that? No, I'm not. That means I'm thinking of myself, self-preservation, and I don't want no trouble. These people look like they might be trouble, so you know what? I'm going to avoid that situation just in case it might be trouble, so I can stay away from it. That ain't anti-black. That's self-preservation, and it's not no reverse racism or whatever else you want to call, whatever words you want to give it. Anyway, going back to my main point here. A lot of people have been throwing out this anti-black thing as what this really is an immature, non-critical thinking, what's the word? Criticism that somebody throws out when they don't have anything else left. This is usually what it is. So this woman, she tried to throw some criticism about Kanye towards me, or tell me what her criticisms were. I pushed back on her criticisms because they didn't really have any substance, and I told her that. And then she said, well, I just think Kanye's anti-black. This is what black people say when they can't come up with any other way to criticize a fellow black person, and because you disagree with them on some topic around race. So, you don't agree with me on this topic around race. You don't agree that, no, these things are terrible for us as black people. So you know what? You just must be anti-black. And let me tell you the profile of the people who usually throw this out. Usually it's somebody who has bought into the belief that the reason for whatever success they have not achieved is because of their race. They have bought into this. They are all in on this belief. And because they're all in on this belief, they want other people to co-sign this belief. But when they come across a black person who does not co-sign this belief and says, you know what, no, your lack of accomplishment, maybe they won't even say it directly like this. I would say it to somebody. Your lack of achievement is not because you're black, because look at him and her and him and all these people over here. They're all black. They've all achieved things. The only person who hadn't achieved things is you. So clearly, it ain't being black that's the problem. The problem is you. And see, if I was to say that to somebody, and I actually would say that to somebody, they will say, oh, well, you're anti-black. Not because they actually believe it, but because it's the last resort. It's the last thing somebody can come throw out when they ain't got anything else. And I'm bringing that up to say to everyone here, stop using this weak, childish, it's basically an excuse. It basically excuses the fact that you ain't got nothing else to say. So you just want to call somebody the worst thing that you could come up with for the person is anti-black, or whatever other phrase, Uncle Tom, coon, all the other stuff people like to throw out. Anything that goes in those directions, usually those are when you're talking about white people. You're doing something that white people agree with, but I, as a black person, don't agree with, and you're black, you're not supposed to agree with it. So clearly you're just trying to please white people. Or somebody said to me once on Twitter, oh, well, I think you're trying to pander to white people. And while this guy's at work working 9 to 5 for a white person, 60 hours a week. But I digress. The whole thing is, if you disagree with a person, you have to be logical enough and mature enough and enough of a critical thinker to challenge their point instead of attacking the person. If you ever get to the point in a conversation where you are attacking the person that you're talking to rather than attacking the actual point of contention, which is usually something that they said or something that they did or whatever y'all are disagreeing with, and you start to go at them on a personal level, you've already lost. First of all, you lost control. Secondly, you're losing the argument. Even if they do it too, y'all are both losing, and both of y'all are losers at the same time. And third, you need a maturity check, because we got to do better than this. All human beings, I don't care what color you are. And speaking of color, black people are the only group that I've ever seen. Now, I'm black, so maybe I'm biased here, and I don't have enough of a sample size to say this, but I'm going to say it. And if anyone has seen different, let me know. I've never seen white people criticize each other by saying, oh, you're anti-white because you don't agree with my white person talking point. I've never seen a Jewish person say you're anti-Jew. I've never seen a Jewish person tell another Jewish person you're anti-Jewish or you're anti-Semitic because you don't agree with this point about, you know, the plight of the Jewish person, or anti-Latino or anti-Mexican, or I never heard a gay person say you're anti-gay, or a trans person tell another trans person you're anti-trans because you don't agree with this point about trans people. I've never seen that. Now again, I'm not any of these things, so maybe I just don't have enough experience to have seen it. Maybe I wouldn't be exposed to it even if I was looking for it. But I don't think that happens that much in those communities. It's only in our community that black people seem to have this code of all right, you have to think this way, and you have to have this opinion, this opinion, this opinion, and you got to agree with these set of things, and you got to be this way in order to be black. And this takes into another thing that, since we're on the topic, I'll say it here. There is no one way to be black. Black is a race, is a skin tone. Black is not a way of thinking. Black is not a certain set of opinions. It is not a way of talking. It is not a way of dressing. It is not a certain style of music you gotta like, or food that you have to eat, or a neighborhood that you gotta be from, or slang that you have to use, or things that you gotta agree with, or people that you gotta dislike. And that doesn't make you black. All right, so being from the hood and liking rap music and eating fried chicken does not make you more black than somebody who's from the suburbs and they don't listen to rap music and they don't like fried chicken. They like baked chicken and grilled chicken. They're no less black than you are. Now, again, I know the stereotypes of blackness are those things, and sometimes we can, even I at times, have joked about these things, but on a serious level, none of those things make you black. And this is one of the problems in our culture, is that we have this certain set of behaviors and ideas that many people in the black American community, when I say black, I'm talking about black Americans. I'm not talking about people from other cultures. The people from other cultures who are black, they see the stuff that we do and they're like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, we don't do this in our culture. We don't do any of this stuff. The only thing we got in common with y'all is the skin tone, but the mindset is absolutely not. People from the UK, French people, people from Africa, they look at black Americans like, what the hell are y'all doing? Where'd y'all get this from? Y'all ain't get it from us. It ain't come from Africa. Y'all came up with this shit on your own. But anyway, again, I digress. We have bought into this whole concept of being black means you gotta be this way, think this way, act this way, talk this way, and agree with this and disagree with that. That does not make you black. What it makes you is, generally what it makes you is ignorant. And ignorant is not, when I say ignorant, ignorant means not to know. That's the definition of ignorant. It means you don't know something. I'm not saying that as an insult. And many people simply don't know these things. People have never, many black people who, some of you who are watching this video, have never considered that being black is not a set of behaviors. Some of you, this is the first time you ever been told this, that acting a certain way, or wearing your pants off your ass, or liking Jordan sneakers, or listening to rap, those are inherently black. No, they're not. Now, maybe many black people do these things. Maybe those areas are majority populated by black people. Majority black people do these things. That doesn't mean that they are black. Again, and this is why it's important that this stuff gets articulated, and hopefully, this ain't gonna work on everybody, but hopefully it opens up the minds of some people who are hearing this message, that you don't have to prove your blackness by a certain set of behaviors or opinions or statements. And I know people, and I'm talking about smart, intelligent, college-educated business owners, take care of their family, people who I know, like, trust, and love, who have this mentality. Like, oh, I'm black, so that means I gotta think this way, believe this, talk this way, do this. I can't agree with that. I can't say anything about that. I gotta ignore that. I gotta talk a whole bunch about this, though. They believe this. They have this in their mindset. Oh, I'm black, so I have to be this way. I have to go against this thing. And even when I have conversations with some of these people, and we kind of get into the details of what exactly they're saying, and I ask them, well, why? Why do you have this mentality about this particular thing? And I try to get them to get really specific about why they have the certain mentality that they have about these things. They can't answer the question. They have no answer. They don't actually have an answer because the actual answer is they have been taught their entire lives, they have been conditioned to believe that being black, quote unquote, means you can't say anything positive about Donald Trump, or you could never vote Republican, or you gotta like rap music, or if Kanye says whatever he says about whatever he talked about in the last week, you got to go against it and say that Kanye's wrong. Even if you think something Kanye said might have some credence, you can't say it out loud, because then you be being anti-black. There are a bunch of black people who are very smart people who actually think this way. Why is this? It's not because they stopped being smart. It's because when you hit someone no, there's a better way of saying it, is that when someone is emotionally triggered, then logic goes out of the window. That's the real reason. When someone is emotional, the emotions overpower their logic. So this is why critical thinking matters so much. Critical thinking is your ability to suspend your emotions and be able to look at things logically and see things as accurately as you can, even if what your logic is telling you goes against what your emotion is trying to scream at you. And the reason why emotion overpowers logic is because the emotion screams at you while logic just talks to you. So one person is talking, another person is screaming. Which one will you hear? You hear the screamer because it's just louder. And this is why critical thinking is something that I talk about so often. We have so little of it in the culture, period. In all of culture, all colors, everybody. We have so little of it because people would rather give into their emotions than give into their logic. It takes more discipline to be logical than it does to be emotional. It takes no discipline to be emotional. It takes a lot of discipline to be logical. So with all that said, I could make like 5 videos of everything I talked about in this video. So I'm gonna stop there. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. I would text me to get my daily motivation for free, or to respond to what I said in this video. You can text me. Just let me know which video you're talking about, because I got a lot of videos. My number is 305-384-6894. And you business folks want to get my free 45-minute training, how to increase income in your business without having to work 10 times harder or become 10 times smarter, go to workonyourgame.net. The links to both of those are down below in the description. Work on your game. Dre all day.